Slumberland, out on Netflix, new fantasy adventure film from director Francis Lawrence, who made all different kinds of stuff, including films like Constantine, I Am Legend, and many of the Hunger Games movies. This is a loose adaptation of a comic strip from the early 20th century and stars Marlo Barkley, Jason Momoa, and Chris O'Dowd. The main character of the story is a young girl named Nemo who lives together with her father, who's a lighthouse keeper, so they obviously live in sort of separation from society. Early in the film, the father dies during a storm and she's left alone with his estranged brother who comes by to pick her up, and he seems like the complete opposite. Boring corporate job, nice apartment in the city, struggles to connect with the girl on a sort of emotional level. But then she has a dream in which she meets Flip, a strange character who her father used to tell her stories about. Flip tells her that he's real, although he lives in this Slumberland, which is what the sort of shared dream consciousness of all people is called. And you know, he really existed, he really knew her father, and if she helps him obtain a magical pearl, she can make a wish about anything pertaining to this dreamland, including what she really wants is to allow herself to spend time with her late dad in her dreams. So of course, the adventure begins. Now, make no mistake, this is primarily a film for younger audiences, but I do think that it manages to do what many family movies struggle with, which is to make it also relevant for adults, and not relevant in a cheesy, boring way. And really what impressed me about the film the most is how there are two different sides to its coin, and the film manages to do both of them justice. The first one is the Dreamland Adventures, which is very imaginative, fun and colorful, and that part is primarily carried by Jason Momoa, who is incredibly charismatic, plays a very exuberant character, and he's clearly having a lot of fun in the film. There's flair and humor and foolishness, and it all is kind of magical. Secondly though, there is that other side of the movie coin, which is the more introspective story about dealing with loss and trauma, about retreating into yourself, escaping and sort of closing yourself off to the world, which is what's, you know, metaphorically going on with Nemo, of course, but also her stepdad character played by Chris O'Dowd. He's got a surprising amount of depth and manages to avoid a cliche which I feared, because in the first 2 minutes that he's on screen, it seems like he's just going to be the staple of the absent, uncaring stepdad. But he turns out to be pretty far from that. He's genuinely trying to connect with Nemo and to help her and to be a good father for her, a good father figure. But he's struggling with the connection, but also with his own issues, which are also explored in quite, touching ways. And I have to say, there's a really nice balance struck between those two halves of the film, between the adventurous, fun and fantastical Slumberland parts and the real life scenes, which are very heartfelt and pretty serious if you think about them really. So I thought that Slumberland manages to take the best out of both worlds and be precisely what it intended to be, which is an adventure film for the entire family, which offers genuine entertainment not just for the kids but for the adults too, and carries with it a pretty well thought out life lesson. Solid stuff.